If I told you to train for a 5K, not a problem, right? But this is Mount Marathon. In this small town of Seward, Alaska, they host a 5K race up that mountain every 4th of July. But don't let the distance fool you. Runners climb 3,000 feet up and then launch themselves back down at full speed. There's no marked trail and there's no easy way down. Let me put it this way, the mountain always wins. I've ran a lot of marathons before, but this is a whole different beast. And while most of us will never run this race in our lives, doing hill training is the best way to level up your running. So why did people start running this race? How do you even train for something like that? And what can we learn from it? Because before there were Spartan races or ultra races, there was Mount Marathon. It all started with a drunken bet. I'm not kidding. Back in 1915, on the 4th of July, a group of guys from Seward, Alaska got together and they started debating, while drunk, if it was possible to run up and down this mountain in less than an hour. One person said, I bet you can't. And another person said, hold my beer. And next thing you know, Mount Marathon was born. And while most races we run in have things like bib numbers and hydration stations, and maybe even a nice little finisher's medal at the end, Mount Marathon instead offers blood, sweat, and mountain goats laughing at you. Runners have to pick their own path up because there's no marked trail. Entry is also not guaranteed. They do a lottery system, and people wipe out a lot. The descent is so steep that some runners need to slide on their butts simply to do it. And this isn't just a race, it's a 4th of July tradition here. The whole town turns into this big mountain running festival. It's basically like a rite of passage. So what makes this race truly insane is the climb and the descent. The first half, you're talking 3,000 feet of elevation. You're clawing your way through loose dirt, scrambling over rocks, and basically doing your best mountain goat cosplay without the grace. The winners hit the summit in just about 30 minutes. Everyone else, about an hour. And if you think the climb is bad, the descent is chaos. Imagine sprinting down a near vertical slope covered in loose rocks and roots, going between 12 and 15 miles an hour. Because what happens if you try to brake too hard? You might slip, roll about 50 feet, and become part of the mountain. Because the real danger is wiping out. In 2012, a runner disappeared and was never found. Because this race isn't just about speed, it's about respecting the mountain. Okay, so let's say you want to train for this race. How would you even go about it? Well, it's all the hill training, and hills are not just about strength, it's about efficiency, power, and confidence. The goal is to make the hills feel normal. My recommendation is to incorporate these types of workouts into your training program. Running hills twice a week. One of those being more of an interval or sprint type of workout, and the other one being more of a long or gradual type incline run that you do. Incorporate some hilly long runs every other week. So stop avoiding those hills and make them your friend. But if you're training for this, you can't just think about the uphill. Remember, the real dangerous part is that downhill. So how do you even train for that? The problem with downhills is that they actually shred your quads up. Probably the most. Even people who run the Boston Marathon, including myself, would say it's not the last hill that gets you, it's all the downhill you do before then. So here's how you avoid that mistake and basically becoming a human avalanche. Find a gradual downhill and run fast and smooth downhill strides for about 15 to 20 seconds. Then walk back up and repeat that. Pick a short, technical descent that has some steepness to it and run down that repeatedly, focusing on quick steps. And don't overthink it. The other thing to do is to strengthen your ankles. So things like single leg hops, balancing drills such as on things like a Basu ball, which is something Steph Curry did when he was having ankle issues, and some eccentric calf raises. But you don't just climb 3,000 feet without something else. Mental toughness. Because running uphill hurts, and it's always going to hurt. And running downhill can be terrifying, especially if it's loose and you can possibly roll and hurt yourself. But even though the mental toughness for Mount Marathon might just be a bad life choice that some people are really good at, it isn't just for mountain races. It's for every single type of training. So some things to do is stay in the moment, stop thinking about reaching the bottom, just take it one step at a time. Embrace how terrible and sucking it. Embrace the fact that running hills suck, but they aren't an enemy, they're a shortcut to running faster. And finally, before you even run it, visualize your descent. Even pro runners use visualization. And also, doing weightlifting is a great way to build up your strength. Doing things like weighted squats, Bulgarian leg squats, lunges, and jump squats are great ways to help build up your strength to tackle on the hills. But let's be real, most of us won't be running Mount Marathon anytime soon. But that's not the point, because hill training makes you a better runner overall. It'll make you faster and it'll make you mentally tougher. Some of the best results I got from training was when I was focusing a lot on uphill running. Because if you do that, you can actually hit some of your goals, like some of the goals that I hit. And if you want to see how exactly I was able to nail my marathon PR of 2 hours and 43 minutes, you can check that out right up here. Because in addition to doing hill work, I did a lot of other work to get to a 2:43 marathon. If you're wondering exactly how I did that, you can check this video out right up here.